People are losing money right now. And when we are losing money, we don't make the best decisions. So what are the mistakes that we absolutely want to try and avoid in times like this? And why are they so crucial in moments like this? Because the buy low, sell high, stay patient, all of that stuff sounds so good. But when you get hit in the mouth, when you start to see the red in your account, a lot of that flies out of the window. So what are those mistakes? Let's go ahead and break it down. For context, for those that may not know, remember, I used to be a financial advisor in New York City. I managed over $140 million. Why is that important? It is important because I have lived many lifetimes. What that really means is I have managed and have seen dozens and dozens of accounts, really hundreds. And I got to see people make these mistakes or come in after these mistakes were made. I got to see, oh, that's how that happened. Or, oh, you thought that this was going to go one way and it didn't. Let's fix this. So instead of you, really think of it like this. You get one life, one account, one portfolio. If you lose all your money, that's it. Whereas I have my own money, right? But I also got to see dozens of other people and how they manage their money and how they've made mistakes. I got to learn from them and see all of the things they've done to that point, right? I don't get to see what they do in the future, right? But I got to see all of that stuff, all right? So let's first start with this one. You also want to be very careful of taking a 401k loan or TSP loan. That's basically the 401k for people who are government employees. You really want to be careful for government employees. Now, yes, it might be a mistake to withdraw from your 401k, but I think most people know why that is a risk. But why a loan? Now, the strategy for some is if I take a loan from my 401k or from my TSP and I put it in my savings, that could be smart. And they say that because I'm taking a loan and I'm not paying taxes on it, okay? I'm saving myself from the market falling apart, and I can just go put it in the savings, right? If I need to pay it back, take the money out, put it right back. I'm all good, right? And while it's in savings, it's making, 2% or whatever the savings account is paying. Or I can get one of those online savings accounts that's paying a bit higher, right? So take it out, save it from falling apart, put it in savings, make more money. All good here. Honestly, that sounds like a decent plan, except for the fact that you must read the fine print and also read the room. Okay, so if you are a federal employee, last I checked, they are laying people off left and right. Okay, if you are laid off, in most cases, not all, again, read the fine print of your plan, you may be required to pay back that loan within 90 days. Now, here's the catch. If you put it in your savings, which again, that's solid, right? You will say, okay, well, I'll just take the money back, put it in my, just paying back with that. What if you lost your job? You would hold on to that money. Well, if you hold on to the money and don't pay it back, you could be taxed on that amount. And you may also be charged for an early withdrawal. That might hurt. So if we're talking $100,000 loan, you're talking $10,000, that's 10%, plus whatever that taxable gain could be. Eesh. That might be pretty big. And again, you don't have an income because you lost your job. This might not work out the way that you expected. And quick time out. I know we've been talking a lot about investing today. However, if you don't know where to start or you haven't started yet, I have a free guide on how you can buy your first stock in just 20 minutes. To get that free guide, check out the link right here. All right, back to the video. Also, alternatively, and I would do the math on this if you want to, just to see where you would end up. You can also consider, let's say, if you are contributing 10% or even 15%, which is what I like to contribute. Let's say if I'm contributing 15, I drop it down to 12 and then put the extra 2% and put that into my savings and accelerate my savings that way and say, hey, I'm stuffing my savings more so I can get closer to that six month savings number faster. Once I hit it, I can go back up to that 15. Maybe that's a way. So you're still investing and also putting more money towards your savings. So you're kind of doing both without risking having to be in a weird taxable situation and putting yourself at a huge risk of not just taxable but also hitting an early withdrawal penalty. So just be careful there. Don't forget, read the fine print, but also be aware that if you are separated from your job, you might be required to pay that back. Also, know this, right? As another mistake, not every dip is worth buying. I don't know why I have to say this for you guys. You should know this, right? Yes, buying an index fund, I think we know. S&P 500, cool. Bitcoin, a little bit, might make sense. I've even said that, right? I told y'all 4 months ago. 4 months ago, I said I would not be shocked if Bitcoin hit 100,000 and started to drop. Now, this morning, I put it out on Instagram that I told y'all that Bitcoin was going to fall after it hit 100,000. And it did. At the time we're doing this video, Bitcoin was at, and then that was this morning, I'm doing this on Monday, but Bitcoin hit 100,000 and then it was right around 77,000 at the time I did that video on Instagram. Ta-da! Told y'all, right? So it might. I'm not as confident about Bitcoin that I am long-term about the S&P 500. However, I can see why it might make sense just to, dollar cost average, do you a little bit of buying the dip on a Bitcoin. I can see why it makes sense to buy the dip on the S&P 500. What I don't think makes sense is just buying the dip on every single thing or every single individual stock like Nike. Nike doesn't make sense because Nike is getting hit by a major tariff. We know that a bunch of their operations are in places like Vietnam, are in places like China. Both of those get hit by tariffs. We also know that before the tariffs, Nike wasn't good. We've done videos about how Nike wasn't good. We have done videos about why they had to switch CEOs because Nike wasn't good. So can buying the dip work for some things? Yes, but don't just buy the dip blindly. Okay, be careful here. Okay, be very, very careful. So again, like I said at the top of the video, yeah, buying the dip can work for some things, not every single thing. Okay, people just say it without ever really looking into it and say, well, wait a minute, if it was bad before all this chaos, why would it be better now? Right? Like before the tariff, it was bad. So after the tariff, it's gonna get better? Not necessarily. So be very careful for some of those individual stocks and some of those individual companies. Also, you want to be careful of unqualified people. Okay, so just to put the focus on me, okay, because I don't like pointing people out. I don't like doing it. Sometimes I don't like doing that. But for example, okay, as we mentioned, I've been a financial advisor. I've written best-selling books on finance, degrees in economics, all that type of stuff. I would consider myself, I also have 15 years experience on teaching people about money and investing and stuff like this. Okay, I will consider myself an expert in this. Do not come to me, nor do I speak on things about the Constitution or law or even deep detail into the inner workings of Congress and politics. And we'll talk about somebody passes a bill that has to do with money, but I don't know about none of that. That's not my field. I'll read a book about it. I find it interesting, but I've not worked on Capitol Hill. Okay, that is not my job. And what you should not do is take somebody who primarily talks about politics or take a doctor who primarily talks about medicine and take them for their financial advice or vice versa. Don't listen to me for medical advice either, right? And don't take someone who primarily talks about medicine and give them financial advice and vice versa. Like, just understand where you're getting your information from and to what degree they understand the concepts that they're giving you. For example, I had someone tell me I was wrong about tariffs in the comments. Who are you, right? Not everybody needs to have a degree or anything like that. Like, I don't want to be elitist or whatnot. However, if I look at somebody's bio and they just have Bitcoin lover and dad, yeah, right? Do you really know about how tariffs work? Do you really know about how to build a true portfolio and all that kind of stuff? Probably not, okay? And, there's more to it than just putting out a certain emoji and I've been investing for 2 years, so therefore I'm an expert. We saw this happen just 5 years ago. People who thought they knew X, Y, and Z about NFTs and all that type of stuff, and now they're right back to where they started, which is at zero. Okay, so be careful. It's also how misinformation gets started, and we see how people just took all that and ran with it, only to find out that it wasn't true. Whereas people who were experienced knew, let me go verify this, let me go double check, and let me just understand what this is before it gets put out or before I even believe all this stuff. So just be careful where you're getting that stuff from. Now, what is one thing, or perhaps even more than that, one thing you should absolutely consider doing? When the market is down and when there are serious concerns and real threats to your portfolio, you may want to consider talking to someone, to a certified financial planner. My recommendation is to someone who is either a fee-only planner or an advice-only planner, meaning you are paying them a flat fee. Maybe it's $25 a month, maybe it's $300 a year, and that is, you can find that. I'm working with a company, and we'll talk later about that, maybe later this week or something, to get y'all something exclusive where, because it's a lot going on, I want to make sure y'all taken care of, but basically where you can talk to someone and get all your questions answered, and they're not selling you a service, right? They're not trying to sell you on an insurance policy or sell you and trying to like commission-based people. Just, hey, I'm paying you for this, and you give me all that stuff for just this price, nothing more, nothing less, and the rate doesn't change, if that makes sense. So that's what a fee-only planner does, and you get to ask all of your questions, all your stuff, and the fee doesn't change. So that's what I wish we had back in the day, where you didn't have to have $250,000 and all that type of stuff. So that is what I would really recommend, because everybody's individual situation is different. I can't help every single person, right? And I don't know your individual situation. What I do know is there are serious concerns right now. And if you got kids, your situation is different. If you're married, your situation is different. If you're single, your situation is different. Trying to buy a house. You guys get the point, right? So talking to somebody who specializes in those things might be the difference between you making a good decision or a bad decision, between you making money or losing money. You might want to talk to somebody before making that major choice. Also, there are some other decisions and things you might want to be aware of that can help you in a time like this. If you want to know what those things are, check out this video right here.